Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my Random Thoughts on Thursdays, and this time I'm talking about why I will not be voting for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Alright, first off, I just want to apologize for not having posted a video in several weeks again. Sorry for the long gaps. Still dealing with a lot of stuff in my personal life, and so it's just kind of random haphazard when I actually have a chance to film and to actually have an idea of something that I want to film and want to talk about. So anyhow, I finally have some time and I have a topic, and so therefore let's get into it. So as I said, I will not be voting for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, and I will be supporting a third-party candidate. Most likely I'll be supporting Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party, who I voted for last time. That's assuming he gets the candidacy for the Libertarian Party again. I know there's several other people in the running, possibly, but I think he's the most viable one, being a former governor and all that stuff. So anyhow, number one, that's who I'm probably going to vote for if he becomes Libertarian candidate. If he doesn't, if McAfee ends up being the Libertarian candidate, then we have a three-way circus then. And then I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Is Snoopy running? Anyhow, but why am I not voting for these other two people? Politically, I'm an independent voter. I don't belong to any party. I'm not libertarian, even though right now I think the Libertarian Party matches my ideals the closest compared to either Republicans or Democrats. I describe myself as a fiscally conservative, so I'm not big on taxes, I'm not big on spending, I'm more into smaller government. Not no government at all, absolutely not. We definitely need government, we definitely need government services to a degree. I just think it's kind of gotten a little out of hand with all of that. So there's that side of things. But then I'm also socially liberal. I am very much an LGBT ally, and I have friends who are gay and transgender and polyamorous and just all the stuff, and I completely support all those lifestyles. In fact, I myself identify as non-monogamous, possibly, even though, to be perfectly honest, I've never not had a monogamous relationship. I've never had the opportunity to explore that side of myself. Regardless, I do identify that way, and so that's just kind of who I am, and you know, that's just, you know, everyone's got different proclivities and things, and I may or may not still have a chance to explore that in the future. We'll see. I mean, it's only been 4 months since my husband passed, so it's just no way that I'm doing that anytime soon. However, again, socially liberal, so yes, I support all of those types of things. Obviously I support equality across, I don't care what color of skin you have, or your ethnic background, or your gender, or your non-gender, or whatever. It doesn't matter. We are all humans. Let's treat each other like humans. I know there's a big kind of a conflict right now in terms of, like, it used to be okay to say, hey, I'm colorblind, in terms of I don't see people's skin color, but then people are like, well, but I want you to see my skin color and embrace my ethnicity and everything. So I kind of, for me it's both. It's like, when I say I'm colorblind, I'm like, I see you as a human being. I don't see the tone of your skin, whether it's beige, because I don't call this white, I call this beige. Thank you very much. But whether you're various shades of beige or brown or black, or tinged with red or tinged with yellow, etc., it doesn't matter what the color is. You could be pink with purple polka dots. It doesn't matter. We're all human. Although, if a human is ever born pink with purple polka dots, people might actually question their DNA. However, right now, all human. That's one thing we have in common. You know, our blood is all red. We all have hearts, and the same parts of our bodies, and lungs and kidneys, and like inside we are all the same. And you know, there's all these ridiculous stereotypes out there, and some people meet those stereotypes, but a lot of people don't. I am obviously a Caucasian female, and I am, you know, the term is cisgender these days, that I was born female and I identify as female, etc. But I don't follow a lot of the stereotypes when it comes to being female. I mean, I do in some cases. I mean, I wear makeup, I get my nails done, that kind of thing. But then again, I also tend to, like, I'm not today, I mean, this is one of the few times where I'm not wearing a hoodie, but I'm generally dressed more masculine than I am feminine, even though, to be perfectly honest, I don't know, clothes are clothes. Everyone wears jeans these days, men or women. I do wear women's cut jeans because that's how my body is built. I have wider hips and stuff than a guy would. So we do kind of need different jeans, but in general, it's considered a more masculine looking clothing style, except for what I'm wearing today, because I'm actually dressed like a girl today, a little bit, or a woman. I'm dressed like a woman today. But anyway, so, you know, bottom line, at the end of the day, I believe in equality when it comes to my social political leanings. And like I said, even though I'm fiscally conservative, I do believe that we need some government. We definitely do. We need government for roads, for banking regulations. And they need to make sure those things don't run too rampant. And to be perfectly honest, I actually think we should have let the banks fail when all that went down and everything, and let them pick up their own pieces. We shouldn't have been bailing them out. I don't think it would have hurt the economy as much as they thought it would, just based off of all of the people that I have talked to that I know are very in tune with finance and investing and all of that kind of thing. I'm not very intelligent when it comes to all that. I've never managed money very well, but my husband was, in my opinion, in many people's opinions, a financial genius. I mean, he was able to finish a degree in financial engineering, a 2-year degree in 1 year, with straight A's, and earning a international fellowship as well as a local assistantship that basically paid for most of his stuff. And to be perfectly honest, none of that is, I know a lot of people would like to say, yeah, it's white privilege, but he was one of the few white people in his class. The majority of them were Asian, oddly enough. A lot of them coming from China to take this program. And you know, some of them also got scholarships and assistantships and that kind of thing, and were getting, you know, really good grades and that kind of thing as well. But he, you know, it was his mind, it was his intelligence, it was his brilliance. You know, he proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that he earned all of those accolades. The fact that, you know, a 2-year degree in 1 year with a straight 4.0 average. I mean, you can't deny that the man was smart. And he tried to educate me a lot on fiscal and financial things and that kind of thing. And I'm still an idiot when it comes to money. I really am. I'm doing my best, and that's one of the reasons why I'm grateful that my brother-in-law is also pretty good with finances and stuff, and he's going to be helping me if I have questions and things. And my uncle's actually pretty brilliant when it comes to finances. So, but you know, all of these people that I know that are so brilliant when it comes to money and that kind of thing have all kind of educated me on the fact that how increasing certain things, like increasing taxes, especially taxes on the rich, can actually be detrimental. And now that I have been a small business owner and I'm growing and expanding my business, well, my growth for my business is greatly slowed because of the amount of taxes that I have to pay. I am still paying, you know, close to 40% of all of my business income after I've paid all of my subcontractors. 40% of what my business gets to keep from that money goes to taxes. And so that's a pretty hefty chunk. And if it was only 20%, well, that extra 20% would allow me to expand my business a little bit further, maybe add yet another subcontractor to my team, perhaps add a salesperson to my team. You know, there are possibilities of things that I could be doing with my business that I can't right now. Hire a marketing agency and help me market my business a little bit more. That I can't because I have to make sure that I have to squirrel this money away to pay my quarterly taxes. Otherwise, you know, they're going to come after me. And I'm not big enough to have shell corporations and hide stuff in the Caribbean or Swiss bank accounts or wherever, you know, the really big corporations are thought to hide their monies and things. To be perfectly honest, I mean, sure, are there businesses out there that do shady business practices? Yes, you know, I will not deny that that is the case and that happens. But I would hazard a guess that the majority of corporations are above board. Yes, they take advantage of various tax breaks, and there's reasons why those tax breaks exist. It allows them to keep more of the money that they earn so that they can hire more people. Sure, you know, companies like Apple and Google and things, yeah, they bring in billions and billions and billions of dollars, but it's not like they have a army of slave labor and only the CEO keeps the money. Sure, the CEOs make a really good chunk of the money and are often compensated 400% and 500% over their lowest paid employees. But there is a rhyme and a reason behind that. And behind how that all works and everything, and oftentimes these CEOs and things, they take that money and a lot of it goes to philanthropic use. Many of them, especially the really big CEOs, often either create a philanthropic foundation with charities and things. I mean, Bill Gates was criticized for a long time for not doing that. But I think he was trying to do a couple of things. First, one was build his business and get it on a solid foundation, which Microsoft now is. It'll take a lot to take Microsoft down, if anything. And focusing on the business first, making sure it was a strong, stable company, and then probably also investing his money, investing the income that he was making, and making sure that he had a solid foundation in order to begin his philanthropic work, making sure that he had enough funds to begin without draining the money out right away, so that he could, you know, and then of course, you know, another thing is just trying to figure out, well, what do you want to do philanthropically? There are so many things in the world that need fixing. There's poverty, there's disease, there's, you know, not enough access to clean water, not enough access to medical personnel and medicines and that kind of thing. I mean, there's just so many things that people could tackle, and there really aren't that many billionaires out there to help tackle them. There are more problems in the world than there are billionaires and billions of dollars to tackle. And, you know, it's ridiculous. Some people will post these ridiculous memes online about, you know, if Bill Gates took his entire fortune and sent like take his entire fortune and everyone sends a check, and people miscalculate this ridiculously, saying, yeah, everyone will have $1 million or everyone will have $1,000 or something. And I think I calculated it once, and if Bill Gates took every penny that he owned, his house, sold his cars, lived as a beggar on the street, every single penny that he owned, and he split it up and sent a check equally to every adult in the United States, I think I calculated at the time we'd all get a check of like $150. And if he sent it to everyone in the entire planet, everyone would get, I think, like 28 cents or something ridiculous like that. Okay, maybe not 28 cents. It's more like a $1.50 or something. But still, I mean, people don't do the calculations. They don't realize with the numbers. If you do the math, that yes, these people are really rich, but if they shared their wealth the way people, you know, like, just give me the money, just give me the cash, you know, stop doing these charities, and I just want the money. Well, then you get, you know, $1.50, and then what? then these people are out of money, and their foundations are out of money, and their charitable work stops. And then then are we? I mean, it almost sounds like everyone's like, okay, well, I'm poor, I want everyone else to be poor. Because that's what would happen. If there were no rich people to create jobs, and I know people are rolling their eyes now at this, like, oh, job creation and stuff. But it's true. I mean, yes, there are corrupt rich people who take advantage of the system and abuse their employees and there is bad stuff out there. I will not deny that. I mean, crony capitalism is running rampant, and we need to stomp down on that. And that's another thing, that's another side effect of having larger government. The bigger government there is, the more crony capitalism there's going to be, because you're going to have more and more of these corporate people who are going to be doing kickbacks and bribes and things to get the politicians in place, because the politicians have more and more power, and the more power that they have, the more the rich people are going to use their power, their money and influence to influence these people in power to get what they want, and it's just sort of snowballs. And so it's actually one of the bad things about having larger government. If you can keep government tamped down and focus on what's important, services such as roads, services such as free clinics, services such as schools, public schools. Those types of things I think are important, and government does need to get involved and does need to help manage and that kind of thing, and making sure that everyone gets an education, making sure everyone has access to health care. Not necessarily Obamacare and insurance and that kind of thing. I think the whole insurance industry is just ridiculous. We need to find ways of making health care affordable. We don't need affordable health insurance. We need affordable health care. That's the root of the problem. And that's one of the reasons I have a huge problem with Obamacare, because all it does is force everyone to have insurance, whether you can afford it or not. And that's a whole nother video. If you want me to talk about my thoughts on healthcare, leave comments below, and I'll make another video on that one. But once again, I'm rambling, aren't I? So I'm not voting for Donald. I'm not voting for Hillary, right? Well, let's see. Why not? Donald Trump scares me in more ways than one. I have had a lot of things on my mind lately, so I haven't been looking that closely at all the issues and things, but I recall one time when he was a keynote speaker at a conference I went to, and it was a conference of it was a conference for women in small business, and his entire speech, he was talking to us as if we were men and not women, and talking about how you need to make sure you rein in your wife and make sure you have a prenup so that she can't steal your money, and keep an eye on her so she doesn't go cheating on you, and just all of it. And he's talking to several hundred women who are all small business owners. You can imagine that we all kind of walked out in a rather bad mood. That was just, it was unacceptable. It was ridiculous. And from that day, I have not liked that man. And this was, 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I don't want anything to do with a person like that. And, a person with that kind of attitude and not even being cognizant of his audience. If he's that not cognizant of the audience he's talking to, then what kind of a president is he going to make? Plus, all of his bankruptcies, he has no clue how to be fiscally conservative, in my opinion. And then what does he really know about foreign policy? There's just so many issues with him. And then Hillary, I know a lot of people who want to vote for Hillary just because she's a woman. Oh, we finally get a woman in the White House. That should not be the deciding factor. You should look at her track record and her background and what she can do for the country. Will she be a good president? Not just because, we want a female president. And with all of the potential indictments against her and all the illegal activities that she's done, I'm sorry, she would not be a good president. I don't want someone who basically is a criminal to be elected president. She's not an honest person. And I don't know. I mean, I loved her husband as president. I voted for Bill Clinton both times. In fact, he was the first president I ever voted for. The first time he was running was when I was finally old enough to vote for a president. And I thought he was an amazing president and he did a great job. And a lot of people are thinking, oh yeah, he'll guide her as president. But I'm sorry, she has to stand on her own 2 feet. He's been there, done that. He would be the first gentleman. I don't know what the term would be, but it would not be his role. And I honestly think that she would not go to him for counsel. I mean, she might once in a while, but she's a pretty strong, independent woman, and she will do things the way she wants to do them. And I honestly don't think she would steer this country in the right direction. So ultimately, that's why I personally could not vote for either one of those people. And so on top of all that, it's like, you know, she's not fiscally, neither of them are fiscally conservative enough in their own lives. I can't see them handling the fiscal responsibility of making sure that our economy continues to grow and improve from where it is right now. So I'm hoping that, even though I know that voting for a third party is, the third party candidate's not going to win. I know that. But if we can make a big enough chunk, make a big enough impact with the votes, you know, get beyond I think Gary Johnson got 1% of the vote last time. I'd love to see him get 10 or 20% of the vote this time. Really send a message that we are sick and tired of this two-party system. And I would love to see a large amount of people from the Trump campaign, or not the Trump campaign, I'm sorry, from the Republican Party who are not Trump supporters, come in and maybe vote third party this time around. And the same thing could be true for the Democratic Party. If we could get, you know, the Bernie Sanders supporters and the Ted Cruz supporters all voting Libertarian, you know, we took a third of the vote, that would send a huge message to the other parties. Yes, it means that either Trump or Hillary will win, and yes, it's going to take votes away. Ultimately, it would take votes away from either side, to be perfectly honest. But I think they are equally bad for our country. We are going to be stuck with one of them. To be perfectly honest, I think they're two sides of the same coin. And so ultimately, it's just as scary, and ultimately, it's going to be just as bad, one way or the other. So at the end of the day, it's really not going to matter which one of them gets in my opinion. And so I really want to vote third party, and I really hope that third party makes a larger impact with this election to send a louder message that, hey, we're sick and tired of these other two parties. We need a third party out there. Whether it is Libertarian, they've got the biggest chance because they tend to get the most votes out of all the third parties, and I think they're also more in line with the values of the majority of the people. Just people are scared of not voting according to, like, we've had this two-party system forever, and people are scared of change. And so I think we all need to step up and take a deep breath and just look at the candidates for a change and say, hey, who's going to actually be good for the country? Whether the candidate wins or not doesn't matter at this point. It's sending a message to Washington to say, hey, we are not happy with the system. We're trying to send this message ultimately. Now, that's basically why I'm going to vote third party, and I'm hoping that Gary Johnson gets the nomination for Libertarian Party, because he's definitely the one I want to vote for. I think he's got the strongest record both in fiscal conservatism as well as in all the various social issues and things. He's pro small government. He's pro personal freedom. He is pro personal responsibility, which is a big thing. Big government people are more like, let the government take care of you. You know, you don't have to have responsibility. The government can have responsibility for you. And that's too 1984 George Orwell for me. And that scares me a lot. So Anyhow, thanks again for listening to all my rambles, because I do tend to ramble a lot. And if you have comments, opinions, questions, leave them in the comments below. I hope you like my videos, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.